friends, welcome back to Rustic and Lace DIY. Today I put together a mega video for you that is full of Christmas DIYs that I did this year that were not just my favorite but were yours as well. So I really hope you enjoy this video. But before we get to it, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I wish all of you a very happy, joyous, healthy, safe, merry, and blessed Christmas. All the good things, and I hope it all rolls into the new year for you. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for all your support, and let's get to crafting. Okay, here is DIY number 1. So for this ornament, I used a wood round I got from Hobby Lobby, my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and antique wax. This printout I created on Cricut and some painter's tape. So I'm going to start off by measuring where the middle of that round is, and then I'm just going to use my painter's tape to separate the sides. And once I get that all on there, I'm going to take my antique wax and I am just going to brush it all on the bottom portion of that wood round, or the top portion, whichever you prefer to have it. And after I brush it all on, then I take my paper towel and I just wipe off the excess. And you'll see me do that here. And then after I got done with that, I just removed the tape, moved it down, and then I am adding the ink, which is black in Waverly chalk paint, and I'm doing that on the opposite side. And then after they were both dry, I'm going to take this print out from Cricut. Now, I didn't create this. I actually got it off of Cricut MySpace. And I'm going to put that onto my wood round. Now, I was using Dollar Tree vinyl, so I didn't want to bore you with me trying to get it on there. Then I took my Crop-A-Dile and made a hole. And I took some of this ribbon I got from Hobby Lobby, and I am just making a little bow, and I'm doing the normal bow I normally do, where I make the awareness sign and scrunch it up in the middle, and then I'm going to use some twine instead of a twist tie to scrunch up the middle. So I'm just going to tie a knot here and dovetail the ends, and I have my bow created. But before I put my bow on, I took some more of the jute twine and I am just making a hanger. So I just put it through the hole and I am tying a knot with the 2 strands there. Then after that, I'm going to take some of these fern pieces from a Dollar Tree pick, and I'm just hot gluing them onto the top there by the hanger, and then I'm just going to add the bow right in the middle. And you guys, I absolutely love this ornament. It is my favorite of all the ornaments I've made this year. So then I take one of those pine cones that I got from Walmart in a bag of pine cones and greenery, and I just hot glue it in the middle. And there it is. Something I would appreciate you doing if you wanted to. So here I'm using this picture that I got from Dollar Tree last year, Valentine's Day, and then this page from the mysterious hard finding calendar. And then I took my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and I'm just painting the back part of that sign black. Then I took those corners, and I thought they were really pretty, and I kind of wanted to try to use them, but it just didn't look right. So I trimmed them out, and then after I got all of those corner pieces trimmed out, I took my little cutter there, and I cut along each one of those red lines that was on that calendar. Oh, and then my little buddy Oliver had to come say hi to me, so I had to take a little break and give him some attention. And then once I was done with that, I took some Mod Podge and I just put it all over the back of that sign. Now, I should have probably kind of measured out where the sign was going to lay down, because I wasn't quite sure where I should Mod Podge it. So I lay the picture down, and then I do go around after I have it all smooth on there, and I put some of the Mod Podge where it needed it, where it was missed. And then once that was done and dry, I took my ink chalk paint, and I took my little brush and I am just doing a little dry brushing on the edge just to kind of blend that edge in with that black. And what I ended up doing is I ended up blending horizontally like that, or actually vertically up and down. And then after that, I went along horizontally, brushing back and forth, and it just gave it a really cool look. And then once that was done, oh, I'm sorry, you're going to hear my dog barking because the delivery driver was just here and he does not like the delivery driver. Fortunately, he didn't see him till he was getting back in his van. Okay, so back to the picture. So I really love the way this came out. I love the blending. It really added something to that picture, and I don't know, it kind of gave it that old-fashioned look, which I really, really loved. So once I get done doing all of this, I think I was supposed to cut some of this out, so I'm sorry once again that this is still on there, but it looks adorable. Yeah, I was supposed to cut some of this out, guys. So then once I was done, I took my twine that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just kind of measuring it to the length that I want it for the hanger. And then I just cut it, and I'm tying a knot in the back, and then I put a little hot glue down and hot glue it just to give it that extra security for when you hang it. And then once I had that part done, I took the other end and I start stringing those beads. Now the white beads are bigger, and I think I got those at Hobby Lobby. And then the little beads I did get from Dollar Tree. Now the paint on the ends of those kind of fill up the hole, so every once in a while I had to use my little embossing tool that I have to kind of poke a hole through those beads, because as you see right there, you just kind of have to push the paint out of the way so you can get the string through. And what I did is I did one white one and two red ones, and then I just continued with that pattern until I got to the end of that string. And then I ended up with 5 white ones and I think 8 red ones. So then I just string that through the hole and tie another knot. And then I hot glue that to the back of the sign as well. Now you can cover the sign if you want with some paper. I didn't this time just because I am going to have it hanging in my house, but I may go back. I may even go back and make it a 2-sided sign at some point. Then once I was all done with that, I took my antique Mod Podge and I just gave it a really thick layer all over that sign because I wanted to add that antiquing look, so it dulled down some of the white. Then I took my buffalo check ribbon and made a bow, and I took some of the red Christmas sparkly ribbon that I had and made another bow and attached them together. And then I'm going to put them right on the right top corner of that sign. And I just love this picture. I think it came out so adorable. One of the reasons why I used the black chalk paint was because the calendar is actually on the other side of that picture, and you can kind of see it if you put it against a light backing. But I wasn't quite sure how Christmassy the black would be, but I actually really, really love this. And it will probably go in my bedroom because my bedroom is usually buffalo check during Christmas time, or at least it has been the last few years. We'll see. I know I'll get tired of it soon and change it out, but this year I think I'll probably keep it the same, and I'll just have to add this into my bedroom. And then I just added some more of those little berries and the pine cones and the greenery to that middle of that bow to cover up where the tie was for it, and there it is. I absolutely love it. Oh, it is so pretty. You'll have to let me know what you think about it in the comment box. And then for the final DIY I think it is so cute. And I bought this. This is a gift box that I bought from Walmart last year. And I used some 5-gallon stir sticks and some greenery. And I saw this box last year at Walmart and I thought that would make an adorable sign. So I decided I was going to give this a try. So here I'm just marking where I need to trim the side pieces of those stir sticks. So I'm just marking, I had it all laid out and I'm marking where I want to cut them down. And then I just take my miter saw and I cut them down to the size that I needed. And then I take some truffle and hazelnut Waverly chalk paint and mix them together. And then I'm just using a baby wipe to put a real thin layer onto each one of those sticks. Now I did the fronts and the sides, but not the back. And then I opened up the box and I'm just ripping the corners, kind of ripping the glue off of them to open it up all the way. And then I take my utility knife and I am just cutting along each one of those edges that were where they folded. And then once I had it all cut off, I laid those sticks back where I had them. I had made little marks on the box and I am just hot gluing them in place. Sorry about getting my head in the view. And then once that was all done, I took my knife and I trimmed the bottom piece off. Then I took some ribbon that I had from last year. I found it in my stash and I thought this would be perfect to make a little hanger, and I just kind of measured where I wanted it. And it's perfect because it has a little red truck on the ribbon. So I thought this would be perfect to go with that. So then I took some more of those sticks and some of the ends that I cut off, and I'm just hot gluing them to the back of that picture just to give it a little more security, because it was kind of wanting to move around a little, like it was kind of flimsy. So I thought just adding this to the back would really help give it some more strength. So then I took some of these beaded garland. I think I might have got these at Hobby Lobby. I don't remember if I got them at Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby. I think they were Hobby Lobby though. But I'm just using a little hot glue here and there as I lay it out all around the picture. And then I just took some of the, I had a garland from Walmart, Dollar Tree, sorry, and I just cut a piece off of it, glued it to the corner, and added this red sparkly pine cone that I got from Hobby Lobby, and then some of this white floral pieces to the corner. Now I put one on the top right corner and the bottom right corner just to kind of hide the where those paint sticks narrowed. I figured instead of cutting them down, I could just do this and just kind of cover it up with the greenery. And I love the way this came out. Then I used some of those flowers that I got from Dollar Tree as well. And then at the end of it all, I used my antiquing Mod Podge to put all over the front just to give it that more antique look, so it didn't look so much like a shiny box. And I absolutely love the way this came out. You'll have to tell me what you think, but I just think it is so cute. I can't wait to hang it up. So you guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, but you've enjoyed watching today's video, I really hope and ask that you would hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. That way you're notified whenever I upload a video. Okay, DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I used my Waverly Antique Wax, this picture frame I got from Michael's earlier this year, and this box that I got from the Dollar Tree. So I started off by taking my wax and painting the frame with it. And as I put some coats of that wax on, I will then wipe it off with a paper towel, and I do that all the way around the frame until it is done. After that, once it was dried, well, while it was drying, I took the box and I'm just unattaching the side corners to make it a little easier to cut, and then I trim off those side pieces. And then after that, I am going to line up where I'm going to have this box, because it was a little bit bigger than the frame and I didn't want you to be able to see through the holes of the frame. So I take a pencil, I line it up, I outline it, and then I cut it, and then I realized I cut it too short. Oh my gosh, people, I can't cut a straight line for anything. So here I am going to kind of play around trying to see where I can get it so that I don't have to go buy a new box. And I finally get it, and I tape it in place so that it stays right where I need it. And then I am going to use some Jumbo popsicle sticks that I got from Walmart, and I'm going to hot glue those right over where the box and the frame meet to help secure it in place. And I do add some hot glue on the top and bottom of that as well. Then I took some of this berry pick, whatever. I'm not sure what they call that, but I got it from Dollar Tree. And I am just going to hot glue this all around the frame. Now, this box, I did a video, and I'll link it in my description box, in July for my Christmas in July. And I did a picture similar to this, but with a red truck. And it had the same background as that box with the brown wood look. So I thought this would be perfect to use as a set. So because of that, I am going to do the sides just like I did on the other picture. So I took some of this white or frosted pick from Dollar Tree. I took some of them off, hot glued it, took some of that garland pick, made a little circle, added that red pine cone that I got from Hobby Lobby last year in the middle, and then I'm adding some poinsettias. And I'm sorry if you hear my Oliver barking. I don't have my bedroom or my craft room door closed, and you probably see somebody walking by. So then I just took some of this ribbon. Yes, it has little red trucks, and it doesn't really match that there's not a red truck on this picture, but it matches the other picture that I did in July. So I thought I would add it on, and I'm just hot gluing it to the back to make that as the hanger. And there it is. I love this box. I love the way this picture came out, and I think this is going to look so good next to my other picture that I created in July. You'll have to check out that video too and let me know what you think of that picture. Number 2. Now, there's the funnels that I received, the 3 funnels, and I'm showing this styrofoam, but I end up not using it. Some wood, or a wood dowel that I had, and some tumbling tower blocks and some ribbons is what I use. So I knew I wanted to make this into a tree. Of course, it's kind of obvious. What else do you do with funnels, right? And so I am just putting some hot glue around the top, or inside the little part of that funnel where the tops are going to sit. And then I just pressed it in, and I tried to make sure that those edges were all even. Then I took the styrofoam ball instead of the other styrofoam. I got that, I think, at Walmart, and I hot glued it into the middle. Then I took these ribbons and I cut them down to about 6 inches, and I'm just hot gluing them all around. And I started with the bottom, the bigger or the wider ribbon on the bottom, and you want to make sure you're overlapping them. In some areas I didn't overlap them enough, so I end up kind of filling in the holes with some smaller ribbon, and it still looks good. I still think it came out really pretty. But just try to, if you recreate this, try to overlap the ribbons a little bit more. And I just go around and hot glue all the way around the bottom with that ribbon. And then I just start alternating the ribbons as I go up the funnels or the tree. And then here I start with the next section of ribbons, and I do add a few extra ribbons that are not showing there in the picture as I go up, and you'll see that on the end picture here. Okay, and once I got all the way up to the top, I wanted to cover the very top part of that. So I had a little piece of this lace ribbon that I have from Dollar Tree, and I am just going to hot glue that right on the top just to kind of cover where those ribbons had met and cover the top a little bit. Then I took one of these little wooden angels that I got from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of little figurines. They're really cute. And I am just going to hot glue that right there on the top of my tree. I thought that would be perfect, right? A little angel on the top of the tree. And then after that, I took my tumbling tower blocks and then this wood stick I found actually on my husband's little workbench in the garage. So I stole it from him. And so, but you could use like any kind of dowel that you might have for this. But I took 4 of those blocks, I hot glued them together, and then here I'm just adding my Waverly wax on top of it, and then I'm going to wipe it off, and then I do the same thing with that stick. Just add the wax and wipe it off. And then after that, I hot glued it. Now, if you do this, you want to add a lot of hot glue. Because of that wax, it didn't want to stick, so I had to add a lot of glue to the bottom of that to get it to stick. Then I'm going to just put a little hot glue on the top of that, and as you can see, I had kind of dug a hole with it in the that styrofoam, and so I just stick it in and hold it down. And there it is, and I think it came out looking so cute. And you can do this with any colors that fit your style. This is just the colors I'm going with in my living room this year. Okay, DIY number 3. So for this one, I used that truck that she sent me, some 1-gallon paint stir sticks, some jumbo craft sticks, a whole bunch of, well, a few regular craft sticks, and then a whole bunch of those little squares, wood squares from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to start off, I took off the hanger and the leaf and bow that was on the front of that sign, and I am just painting the back of that, the back of that sign really, with my Waverly paint in the color crimson. And then I paint, I drew kind of a outline of a window before I painted it, so that way I knew where to stop. And then here I'm just using my folk art brushed metal in the color brushed silver paint to paint the window. And then I do paint for the little side mirror. I use that as well on it. And then once I was done with that, I took my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and I am just painting the tires with that color. And then after I get done painting that, I am going to take this little square ruler and I am going to line it up along where the bumper would be and draw a line so that way I can paint the bumper a different color. And I have to admit, guys, I was looking at a picture on my laptop to just kind of help me know where to place these things. I have never taken any kind of art courses, painting or anything. And so when it comes to this kind of stuff, sometimes I feel lost. So I like to look at pictures to just kind of give me an idea of where to place things. So then I took my Waverly chalk paint in the color steel and I'm painting where the bumper will be. Now I did leave the middle part open because I want that to be the license plate. So I'm going to paint that with my Waverly chalk paint in the color white. And I'm being really careful there because I wanted to make sure that I stayed right inside, just kind of making that line so I don't mess up. Then I took my square ruler again and I am marking off where those, I guess you'd say wheel wells would be. I think that's what you call them, fenders. I don't think that's a fender, but anyways, you get my drift. I'm just making a line there and then I'm using my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and I am just using a very small brush and I am outlining where I made those lines. And it just amazes me, you guys, how this kind of stuff just really brings the truck to life. And then here I'm just painting on a little light, but I do end up covering those with some peppermints later. And then I'm taking that same ink color and I am just going all around the truck and outlining it just to kind of make it pop and just give it some detail. And it just comes to life. I just love it. And then after that, I just kind of made some little squiggly lines here and there where I don't know why. This is what I've seen other people do when they've painted trucks. And this was kind of on the picture I was looking at too, but it just brings it to life again. Then I took those paint stir sticks and I put 11 of them together, and then I'm just adhering them with the jumbo craft sticks. Anyways, you get my drift. So once that's all attached, then I'm going to add 2 more paint sticks, one on the top and one on the bottom, just to have like a border for this picture. And I just attach them with some hot glue. And I'm not even putting them completely on. I'm letting it overhang a little bit because I wanted to make sure I had room to place the truck right in between there. And then after I get them all hot glued on there, I am going to use my antique Waverly wax, brush it all on, wipe it all off with a paper towel. If you're new here, just want to say welcome. If you're liking what you see today, hit that subscribe button, become part of our family, and hit the notification bell as well. Then once I was done with that, I wrote Santa with a black Sharpie for the license plate. It wasn't quite centered, and I was trying to think of something else to add to it, but I couldn't think of something else. So then I took 12 of these little blocks, and I am making 3 sets of 4. So these are going to be the little presents that are carried in the back of the truck. So I'm just hot gluing 2 of them together, and then I hot glue those 2 pieces together to make a square. And then after I have them all hot glued, I painted one in Waverly chalk paint, the color crimson, one with the color fern, and then this one is ocean blue, and I'm just giving them all a coat. I did not paint the bottom side because it's gonna be hot glued, and I knew no one would see it. Then after that, I set it aside to dry, and I am taking these craft sticks and these little squares that I had used. I had also painted or put the antique wax on, and I am just hot gluing them to the back of the truck to make it look like, the bed of the truck. And then I took another one of those sticks and I cut it in half, and I am just hot gluing them on the top to look like rails there. Then I took the presents and I painted the red one. I put some polka dots, the green one I stripes, and then this blue one I am doing a plaid with my paint. See what I mean by I did a lot of painting? I was so done with painting. Of course, you can see I did this first, so by the time I was done with this, I did not want to paint anymore. So then I took that sign and I'm putting hot glue all over the back, and then I am just putting that right onto the brown sign. Now it's time to add the presents. I took some of these little bows that I got from Hobby Lobby in the mini ornament section, and I'm just going to hot glue them right on top of those presents because all the presents need bows, right? And then after that, I'm just going to figure out where I want to place them, and then I'm going to hot glue them in place so it looks like the truck is carrying presents. So instead of Santa having a sleigh, he has a little red truck to deliver your gifts. Then I took this ribbon that I got from, or this bow that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to hot glue it right there. Now, after I did this, I thought, it would have been really cute to have a wreath there. So, and I do have these mini wreaths too. That would have been really cute. But oh well. So I took these little mini peppermint ornaments that I also got from Hobby Lobby, and I thought it'd be so much fun to put them as your tail lights. And then I put some up at the top as well. And I just think, and those are covering actually the holes where the hanger was on the truck. And I just thought those were really cute. Looks like little lights up there too. Then I took some of this ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I am just putting it as trim around those edges. Really, you don't have to put those paint sticks there. It wouldn't matter since I'm covering it up. Then I took that same ribbon and I'm just using it as a hanger, and I am just going to hot glue that on the back. And that's all there was for this one. So you'll have to let me know what you think of this. Let me know in the comment box what you thought of all of them, and if you would have done anything different with those special items that I received. But I just love the way this came out. I think it is just adorable. So make sure, guys, that you hit that like button and comment. That really helps my channel grow. It lets YouTube know that you guys like my content. Okay, here is dupe number 1. So for this, I started out with this 11 by 14 picture frame from Dollar Tree, this metallic paint from Ace Hardware, my flat black spray paint, and my crimson red chalk paint. So of course I just start off by taking the back off, and now with these Dollar Tree frames, you want to be really careful with those little tags that hold the backing in place. They break off really easy. And then I just take the glass out, and I'm going to use some alcohol to wipe it all down and make sure it is clean from any kind of grease or fingerprints. And I took it outside, and I took a water bottle that had half water, half vinegar, and I spray it very thoroughly all over, making sure I did it heavier on the ends, on the edges, and the corners. Then I took the metallic spray paint and I am spraying it down. Now you can use, and I would recommend, the glass looking spray paint. I couldn't find any, so I decided to try with this. So it's not as see-through as if you use the glass spray paint, but it still turns out good. So then you give it about a minute to dry, and then you dab off all the excess water and vinegar. And then once it's dry, you take your black spray paint and you paint the back of the picture. And again, this is all on the back side. And you want to do more heavier coats along the edges and then lighter coat in the middle. And then you just let that dry. And while that was drying, I went in and I painted the frame with my Waverly Waverly chalk paint in the color crimson. And then once everything was dry, I put them together, and I had created the saying with my Cricut, and I'm just going to put it on the front here. I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing because this was giving me a heck of a problem. I don't know what it was, but it was just not wanting to stick. It was trying to pull up. So I eventually, after I don't know how many minutes, got through it and was able to get it to stay on there, and then pull off my transfer tape. And that was all there was for this. Their cost was $104 on sale. Mine was about $4. And I think it's a pretty close dupe. What do you think? And I'll let you know what the question is here in a few minutes. This is the next inspiration piece. I just absolutely love this sign. So I'm going to start out with using 3 of these metal signs from Dollar Tree, that scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, and these letters came from Walmart. So I am going to take a black Sharpie here, and I just have it lined up on my mat there. I'm lining up with the diagonal lines, and I trace out where I want to cut it. And then I have these, I don't know what they call these. I got these this spring at Dollar Tree, and they cut through that metal like butter. It was so easy. So I am just cutting the edges off so that it kind of looks a little more like a tag. And then after that, I'm going to take my E6000 or E600, whatever it's called, and hot glue, and I am going to attach those 3 metal pieces together, just like you see there. I do go in at the end and put a little stick of like popsicle stick behind it to kind of help give it a little more security too. Then I take my Waverly chalk paint and the color ink, and I am just giving it a good coating. Now you might want to use some Mod Podge on it first. I was going to do that, and then I forgot and realized after I started painting it. So once I got that all painted and it was dry, I did go in and put a good layer of Mod Podge over it just to help protect that paint from chipping off of the metal. Then while that was drying, I took these letters and I'm tracing them out on that paper. Now don't do what I did. I traced out the J like that. And then when I turned the paper over, of course, it was going the opposite direction. So if you're doing a letter that matters which direction it goes, you want to trace that out on the front. So once I have that all traced out, I do cut them all out. And then I am going to paint the edges of them white so that, because the paper's not going to cover the sides, so that way you have a finished look. So my question for you is, what is your favorite type of Christmas or holiday decor? Do you like trees? Do you like lights? Do you like nothing? You know, whatever. Just answer that question. Do you like ornaments? Do you like bells, stockings? What is your favorite thing to decorate with for Christmas? So then, or for the holidays. It might not be Christmas you celebrate, but whatever holidays you do celebrate. So after that, I just added some Mod Podge onto those letters, and then I am just adding the paper onto that. And once that was dry, I went ahead with my Mod Podge and added it to the top as well. Then I trimmed out, you know, the middle of the O and all the other pieces. And then here I am just using my E6000 and my hot glue to attach these letters. Now, because of the ridges of the metal, it did kind of want to pop up a little, so I do end up putting something heavy on it and left it overnight so that it got a good adherence. I don't know what you'd say. Then I took my crocodile and I made a little hole at the top. I took some of this jute twine I got from Dollar Tree. I folded it in half and put the folded part through the hole, tied a knot in the end, and then I struggled because I'm like, wait, how do you do this? And I'm like, I know you can do this. I was doing it backwards. So you just put the knotted piece through the looped piece and pull. Then I decided it was too long, so I cut it down and just tied the ends into a knot again. And if you can see the J looks a little crooked there, it's because it was coming off. But once I put something heavy on it and let it sit overnight, it stuck on there really good. So then I'm just taking my lighter here and I'm burning down those edges of that jute twine. Then I took some of these branches I got off of a pick from Dollar Tree and I'm just hot gluing them on top, and then I'm just going to hot glue a little gold bell on top as well. And that's all there was for this, and I absolutely love this. You'll have to let me know what you think, but I just think it is just stunning. Yeah, and there's the inspiration piece. The trees are a little bit different, but I think it came out looking pretty darn close. Here is number 3. So this one, I took this tag sign that I got from the Dollar Tree on around Valentine's Day. This material that I used last year for Christmas, this gingerbread man from Dollar Tree, and then some paints from Waverly and Apple Barrel. And so I'm going to start off with painting my little gingerbread man with the nutmeg color that I used previously. And I just paint all of him, and then I paint the little, I don't know what those are around his legs, but the little things there white, and the, I'd say cuffs on his arms white. And then I painted his tie green and his buttons red. And here I'm just using a black marker to draw some eyes and a mouth. And then I will use that red, which is Crimson by Waverly, to make a some rosy cheeks. Now, I'm copying the gingerbread man on that material. I wanted him to look like the ones on there, so that's why I'm making all these colors this way. Then after I get done doing that, he has a little curly cue of white hair on the material, so I'm going to add that on his head using my some white marker from Dollar Tree. And I just go and make a little curly cue. I just love gingerbread men. I think they're so cute, and women. So after that, I am going to take off this bow and take off the hanger. And then I'm going to use my heat gun as well as a spatula from my Cricut to get all the glitter off of that sign. So basically the hearts and the word all had glitter. So I just melted the glue behind it and scraped off the glitter. And then once that was all done, I took my Mod Podge for fabric and I'm just brushing that all over this sign, and then I will add my material to that. And once I get my material added, I do go around and kind of add some more Mod Podge around the edges to keep the material from unraveling. So as you see here, I'm just going to lay it out and then just kind of push and pull all those wrinkles out. If you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me at Rustic and Lace DIY on Facebook and Instagram. And if you would like to buy me a coffee, you can find the link in my link tree in the description box below. So here I'm just smoothing out all the wrinkles, and then I remembered I am a Plaid ambassador now, and so they sent me one of these cool little roller things, and so I'm just using it to make sure there's no wrinkles. Then I made this saying on my Cricut, and I am just going to place it on top. It's kind of hard to read. I think on here it's a lot easier in person, but it says fresh baked gingerbread served here, and it gave me a little bit of a hard time pulling it up. It wanted to come off, but I got it on there, and I did add Mod Podge over it once it was all on to make sure that it stays on there and doesn't come off. So after I had that all on there, I took my little glue dots, and I'm going to put 2 on the back of that gingerbread man. Then I'm going to add a little hot glue and add that as well. And then I just turn it around and stick them on my sign. And then after that, I took some of this red and white baker's twine I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just hot gluing some of it all the way around the sign. It's kind of hard to see here, but I just think it gave it such a great look. It just gave it that whimsical, fun, candy cane, gingerbread house look, and I loved it. So then I just took some more of that twine and wrapped it around a couple of my fingers a couple of times, and I'm just making a little bow. I took another piece of twine, tied it in the middle, made a knot to keep it secure, and then I will hot glue that on the top corner. I actually make 2 of these bows and put one at the top of each corner, and then I make a hanger with some more of that twine, and that's all there was for this. It's really easy. I love that material. It was my favorite. You'll have to let me know what you think about it as well. Oh, he's so cute. Or I love this one too. So for this one, I took this foam tree triangle thing. I got some of these biscuits. I think I got them at Home Depot. Then I'm using my Waverly chalk paint in the color celery and moss. So I think it might have been around 30 of these biscuits, and I am just using my brush to paint on the moss color paint, and I paint all of them. Now, after that, I did do some dry brushing with the celery, but it's really kind of hard to tell. It really blends really well. But I started with these biscuits at the bottom, and I'm just hot gluing the top tip of them to this foam figure. What do you call it? I'm drawing a blank today, guys. It's Saturday. My brain says you should have the day off. Anyways, I am just hot gluing them. I started from the bottom so that way it would sit evenly. And then I'm just putting some hot glue on the top of each one there, and then hot gluing that to the foam. And I'm having the bottom tips overlap the other ones by just a little bit. Then I took this wood star I got from Dollar Tree, and I am painting it with my pure gold metallic paint. I think it's Folk Art. I will have that in my description box. And then I paint those tumbling tower blocks and that ribbon spool with my Burnt Umber by Apple Barrel. Then once they were all dry, I took my star and I'm just hot gluing it to the top of that foam piece there. And then I think I'm going to show you here, I do end up using my dryer because I touched that little block and it was still wet. So I'm just using my little heat gun there to dry it up a little bit. If you guys are liking today's video, please make sure and give me that thumbs up and comment. That lets YouTube know that you like my stuff and that you want to see more, and they'll promote it more. And that really helps my channel grow. I really would appreciate it. And if you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can find the link to that as well to my social media pages in the link tree in my description box below. So once I had those all dried, I hot glued them together, like you see there, and then I'm going to take that little ribbon roll. It's just a piece of cardboard that's round and it's pretty thick, and I screw it into the base of that tree. Now I do take it out and put some hot glue on it, but I put some hot glue on the bottom part of it, and then I hot glue it to that little base that I made. Then I took this white paint marker that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just painting the edge of each one of those biscuits so that it looks like it has some snow on the ends. And then after that, I took some of these little berries I got from Hobby Lobby, and I am just pushing them right into the styrofoam in between some of those biscuits. And it was super easy. They just go right in. And I think this comes out looking so cute. And then there's some little black gingham bows that I got from Hobby Lobby as well. And I just put one at the top by that star. And there it is. You'll have to let me know what you think of my little tree. I just love the way this came out. I hope you did too. What everybody has created. Here's number 2. So for this one, I'm sorry guys, something happened with my recording and I didn't get it all. So I got that sign, that sled sign from Dollar Tree, and those bells from Dollar Tree. And here I'm just using my heat gun to melt the glue so that I can lift it off because I want to paint the back part of it. But there are some little pins that hold the these pieces down, so you do want to be careful, and I did have to use my needle nose pliers to kind of pull them out. So once I got that all done, I just painted it all black, and then I am just hot gluing the top part of that sled onto that, I can't think of what you call those things. Oh my goodness. The runners, there you go. And then I am gluing the sled part of that sled to the runners. Now, so I took this, what are they? Garland ties from Dollar Tree, and I took 2 and I just mixed them together just to make them look fuller. And I am going to end up hot gluing that right on the top. And then I took this bush that I got from Family Dollar. I absolutely love this pick. And I took 3 of those off, and I'm going to hot glue them right like I'm laying them. Now, I do end up taking this off because I take some of that black checked ribbon, and I went first and spray painted these bells. So once I get the stuff off the top, I take them outside, I spray paint them white. So once they were all dry, I used my black check ribbon and strung them through the top part of the bells so that one was kind of on top of the other. Then I tied a knot in the ribbon and hot glued it to the top of that sled, right under where I have the greenery right now. And then I just hot glue the greenery over that ribbon so that you cannot see it. And I do use some of the this greenery that comes off of the bell. I do get the ribbon part off of it, and I do use those. I add them to the rest of the greenery that's on there. And then once I have everything hot glued, I do kind of glue the bells down as well. I created a saying with my Cricut that says Jingle bells, and I put that on the bottom, and then I add some of these foamy snowflake stickers that I got from Dollar Tree all around the bottom there as well. And then I also made a bow from some ribbon that I got from Walmart and Dollar Tree. And there it is. And I absolutely love the way this came out. I used some of that black and white checked ribbon to use as a hanger as well. So here's DIY number 3. I love this one, guys. Actually, I love them all. But so for this one, I use 2 of these white bells from the Dollar Tree. I use this square block from Dollar Tree and this square wood round from Dollar Tree. So once I get all the tags off, I take those bells and I'm just trying to push that middle piece inward because I want to, glue them on top of each other. And there was, with that one piece sticking out there, it didn't give it enough of a surface. I was concerned it wouldn't stick very well. So I just used some tools to try to help push that middle piece down. And then my husband comes and he pushes it down with his fingers really easily. Oh my goodness. But at least we got it to work. So I got it all down to where they connect better. And then I take my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink and I paint both the block and the round piece. Then I took some super glue and this is the gel super glue. I love that stuff, you guys. And I'm just putting it all around the bottom of the first bell. And then I'm taking my accelerant, I press it the bell down onto the wood piece and spray it and hold it for about 10 seconds and it is stuck. Then I do the same thing where I put this on top of that bell and then I am going to put the next bell on top and spray it and hold it down for about 10 seconds. And then I do the same thing on the top, put some super glue on the top of that bell and put the wood piece on top and then spray it and hold it down for about 10 seconds. And this stuff really works. I will have a link to it. Actually, I will have it in my Amazon storefront, there's a link to that in my link tree. So then I took some of that ribbon and I go through and hot glue it to the round piece just to kind of trim it out and make it look pretty. If you're new here and you like what you see, I would invite you to become part of our family by hitting that subscribe button and then hit that notification bell so YouTube will let you know when I upload a video, which is usually every Wednesday. Unless I am participating in a challenge, then there may be different days that I upload. And then I take this ribbon and I make in a bow. I just make 2 loops. And since this ribbon is not, it's the same on each side, you can do it with this way. So I just tie it together. Like, as you saw, probably easier to watch it than listen to me try to explain it. I made a little bow that way. Then I took this piece that came off the bell. I was able to get the pine cones off. It had a lot of hot glue, but I was able to get them all off and get the hot glue on. And then I was like, do I really want to try using hot glue with the metal? But I thought, I'm going to try it. So I used my hot glue and I just held it there for a while and it seems to be staying just fine. Then I'm going to add this bow to the middle of that greenery. And then I'm going to take those pine cones that came off of it and put them right in the middle of my bow there. And then I'm going to take the other greenery piece that came off of the bell and I'm going to add the pine cones that came off of it to the top piece. And as you see, I took some more of those garland ties from Dollar Tree and I put it around the candle that I have on top there. And then I'm adding the pine cones to that as well. And then I'm just going to take some more of that ribbon and tie it around the base and hot glue that in place there as well. And you'll have to let me know what you think of this. I absolutely love it. I think it is such a fun idea. I love the way it came out, and I hope you do too. You'll have to let me know what you think. Okay, there it is. Oh, it's just so adorable. Number 4. So for this one, I started out with my Waverly chalk paint in the color white. I had this rolling pin, I believe comes from Hobby Lobby. I printed out some things from my Cricut, some wooden gingerbread men from Dollar Tree, and this tray from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to start out by painting that tray with my white. And once that is dry, I'm going to use my nutmeg color to paint the middle part of that rolling pin as well as the gingerbread man, and then I will use that apple red from Folk Art to paint the handles. If you are new and you are enjoying what you see, and if you like home decor on a budget, holiday decor, thrift flips, gift ideas, this is your channel, so hit that subscribe button and become part of our family. I'd love to have you join, and then let me know you're here. Let me know what you like today. I'd love to hear from you. And make sure, everybody, to give me that thumbs up and comment. That really does help my channel grow. So once those were dry, I took my Arteza mark pen, and I'm just making a zigzag around both ends of that rolling pin just to give it a little like icing kind of look. And then after that, I'm trying to think of what I do next. Oh, I am going to, I switch over the sides of that marker to bring the smaller side out, and I'm just going to paint little dots and then the icing around the legs and the arms. Then after that, I took my seine and I am just going to put it onto the back of that tray. And it says Baking Up Memories. And I thought it was really sweet, but I'll tell you what, that was a heck of a thing to weed. It did not want to lay, and it kept trying to come up, and my fingers kept sticking to it. And I figured something out, you guys. I figured out using a silicone spatula can hold those things down when you're trying to remove your fingers. So keep that in mind if you have a Cricut. Then after I had that all on, I took some hot glue, and I'm just taking some more of that twine, and I am just going all around the inside of that tray, except for on the bottom part, because that's where the rolling pin is going to lay. Then after I was done with that, I added hot glue to the rolling pin, and I put it on the bottom of that tray. Then I'm going to take my bow that I created. This is just from, the ribbon is from Dollar Tree, and I just put it on the end of that rolling pin. And then I'm going to take those little gingerbread men and hot glue them onto the tray as well. And if you don't have a Cricut, you can definitely use a stencil or stickers. You know, you might even be able to find rub-on transfers, or look for window clings. They are so great to work with. I love working with them. Then I took this little Merry Christmas. It's like a mini tree ornament from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just clipping off where the little holes are for the hangers, and then I'm just going to hot glue that right onto the middle of that rolling pin. And then I decided it needed a little bit more of that twine, so I am just going to hot glue that all the way around the top part of that tray. And I think this thing comes out looking so adorable. And there it is. It's so much fun. I just love it. You have to let me know what you think of this one as well in the comment box, and I really hope you guys like this as much as I do. Final DIYs. So I saw these on Pinterest last year, and I really wanted to try making them, so I thought this would be the best time to do it. So basically I just used these dice from the Dollar Tree, and I painted them white, and once they were dry, I took this I think it's that's nutmeg. It was apple barrel nutmeg. And I poured some of that into a bowl. And I can't really give you measurements because it's just kind of, I just poured it in. And then you add some Elmer's glue. Now, one thing you want to make sure it is fresh Elmer's glue. I was reading someone's problems that they had with this, and one they used old glue and said it got clumpy. So make sure you have fresh glue, and you just mix it up, and because you want to thicken up the paint. And so I wasn't quite happy with the color of that. I wanted it to be darker, so then I got burnt umber from Apple Barrel, and I just mixed that in. And I'm kind of showing you a lot of this just so that you can kind of see the texture and the color of this mixture, because this is going to go on the top of the marshmallow heads, so that way it looks like they have chocolate melting down their face or down their heads. And honestly, watching this, I just got done editing it. All I can think of now is wanting chocolate and marshmallows and hot cocoa. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so this is what you do. You want to pour very carefully, some in the middle, because you don't want to do too much because it will start dripping. You don't want it to drip too much, otherwise you can't put the face on. So I'm just kind of cheating here. I am using the end of my paintbrush to kind of help bring that drip down and just kind of herd it into the areas that I want it to drip and where I don't want it to drip. So I just kind of did that. I don't know if that's the right way of doing it or not, but I thought it came out looking pretty cute. I didn't want to take the chance of having a lot of big drips. I wanted to make sure I had enough room to put a face on it. So then I do this, and I let some drips go on both sides, the front and the back, and then I do that with the other dice, or marshmallow, as you will call it, as well. And then you want to let it dry probably like overnight. I did this later in the afternoon, so I let it dry overnight, and then it was ready. So now I'm taking those little cubes that came from the date box and the little sticks too. But those cubes, I'm painting them white, and I'm going to do the same thing with them as I did with those marshmallows. I'm just not going to bore you with showing you all of that. Then I took the box and those sticks and I painted them white, and I took some buttons that I found from Dollar Tree and I painted them black. And then I am going to take my crimson chalk paint and I am going to paint red candy cane stripes on it. Now you're going to see these in a minute and they're going to be pink and red. Well, I ended up not liking that, and the next morning I went in and repainted them white with new stripes. So don't be confused when you see that they're pink and red in the next scene. So once those are done, I decided to hot glue these buttons on to the bottom of that box, because I'm making this out as a little cart. And so I just hot glued 2 buttons on each side. And then once that was done, I took some cardboard and I cut it out, and I'm just going to hot glue it to the bottom of that little cart. And then I have these cling-ons that I got from the Dollar Tree last year, these window clings, and I'm just taking the little candy pieces that are on it, and I am going to hot glue them onto each side of that cart. One thing I didn't show is that I did put some polyfill inside that cart to make it look like snow. And there I'm just showing you that they were pink, and I painted them over with white. And then I went to Cricut and Cricut Design Space, and I just typed in marshmallow faces, and it gives you quite assortment of faces. So I'm just transferring those faces onto the blocks. Now, you have to make sure that it's on the side that doesn't have a really big drip in the way. If you don't have a Cricut, you can Google marshmallow faces, and it comes up with faces that you can download. Or if you are really good at drawing, you can paint your own face on. Now, I thought about doing that, but I am kind of on a time crunch because I've got a couple of challenges kind of back to back. So I didn't want to take the time and take the chance of messing up and having to redo it. So I went ahead and used Cricut, but I did look, can Google marshmallow faces. I'm just not sure if it costs or not. Then I took my Arteza paint pens and I took the lightest pink that I could find, and I'm just coloring in the cheeks on the two little female marshmallows. And something I didn't record, unfortunately, is I did make a little bow out of some Christmas ribbon that I had, and I put it on the big female marshmallow's head, and I think it looks really cute. So there's the final project of all of those, and I just love them. I think they are so cute, and I cannot wait to put them on my hot cocoa bar. Okay, here is the inspiration piece for DIY number 1. So I started off with this picture from Dollar Tree, this bag of gems from Dollar Tree, which I only use one. This wood piece I got from I got from Hobby Lobby, and then the star from Dollar Tree. I used my little Cricut spatula to scrape off that flower piece that's on there. And then once that was off, I removed the backing, and that picture is actually glued onto the backing, and I don't think there's a way to take it off. I've tried before. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to cover it up with some of this glitter vinyl that I got from Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to trace it out and attach it to the front of that picture. Now, if you have a Cricut or a cutting machine, I do not recommend this for your cutting machine. Maybe if you're using a bigger project or like bigger letterings, bigger decal, it might work, but it does not work at all for smaller things. So I tried it for my nephew's initials for his wedding on some decor, and it just ripped to pieces. So I thought it would work best to cover a back for a backing for a picture, and I just really love the way this looks. So when I was done with that, I took my sanding sponge from Dollar Tree, and I'm just sanding this frame down, just scuffing it up. It's not real wood. It's a varnished stuff on there, and I just wanted to scruff it up so the paint would adhere to it a little bit better. So then I took my Waverly chalk paint and the color Fern, and I am just going to paint this whole frame with that color. Then once it was done, I put the frame back together and I laid out everything the way I wanted it, and then I'm just going to hot glue it in place. Now that wood piece I got off, it's a roll of wood sticks that's actually like attached together. So I just cut the first one off and I'm using it for this. Then I had this wood star from Dollar Tree, and I realized, oh my goodness, I didn't do anything with it. So I took my Folk Art metallic pure gold paint, and I give that star a quick little painting. And then once it was dry, I go ahead and use my hot glue to hot glue it to the top. Now, as you can see, when I laid these out, I laid the gems out. The bottom 2 rows is like 6 in each row, then the next 2 had 5, and then the next 2 had 4, and then I just went 3 and 2. And so then I just hot glue all of those right in place. And then after I got those all hot glued, I took those little clear gems and I am laying them all around on top, just kind of placing them where I wanted. I ended up putting them pretty much where all the little bare spots are. And I start hot gluing them in place, but I would recommend not using hot glue because after I took the pictures of these, they started falling off. So I think because the other gems are a slick surface, it would be better to use E6000 because the hot glue worked for them when they're attached to the vinyl, but it's just not working with them being attached onto each other. So then I just laid some of those clear ones all around the tree as well, and I hot glued them, and those stay on just fine. It's just the ones that are on top of the other gems that are falling off. So I recommend the E6000 or super glue, something stronger than the hot glue. So once I had that all done, I am going to take a bow that I got from Dollar Tree, and those hangers I tried to pull off, but they're like hot glued or glued on. So I cut the little hangers off, and I'm just gonna use hot glue and put that on the bottom of that tree. And I love the way this came out. You'll have to let me know what you think in the description box below, or in the comment box below, not description. But it's not an exact replica of the inspiration piece, but it's my own version and I love it. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So I started off this project with this ornament from Dollar Tree, or Hobby Lobby. The sign I got from Hobby Lobby, it was marked down to like 74 cents. I printed out the story of the birth of Jesus, and so then I had some antique Mod Podge there too. So I started off by wetting the paper on the edge with my paintbrush and ripping the edges off to give it more of an old-fashioned look. Then I took my antique Mod Podge and I'm brushing it all over because I want it to look antique-ish. So I just brushed this all over that page. And once I was done with that, I wanted to paint the inside of that frame with a kind of a light beige color. So I'm taking my paint here. I think this was Coffee by Folk Art, something like that. I'll put the colors in the description box. And I added some white to it, and then I ended up adding some yellow orchard, I don't remember what it's called, and mixed it all together. And I painted the inside of this, and then I thought, this really wasn't the color I was going for. And after I have that all painted, I think I did 2 coats, I realized it's not really what I was looking for. So you'll see what I do here in a minute. So while that was drying, I took my antique wax and I am just brushing this little nativity ornament with my wax. And then I will use a paper towel to wipe off the excess. And I do that all the way around, except for the star. I do paint the star with that paint color that I mixed together. Then after that, I realized, this antique didn't darken up the paper enough. It was still too white. So I decided to take some of my antique wax by Waverly and put it on the paper and rub it in. And I really like the way this came out. It looks older and yeah, a little more antique-ish. I really like the way it came out. Then after I had that all rubbed in, and I don't know why I'm showing you so much of this, guys. I'm sorry. Don't mean to bore you. I then took a piece of cardstock that I had it was actually a paper pad from Michael's, and I'm just putting, I found a paper that I liked, cut it down, used my glue stick on the back, and then I am just putting it inside of that frame just to kind of help cover up some of that color. And the color wasn't that bad. It just wasn't what I was picturing in my mind. So then I took the same glue stick and rubbed it all around the back of the Bible verse that contains the story of Jesus's birth. Then I just put this on top of that paper. And then after that, I'm going to use some of these little glue dots. Now, they weren't very thick, so I ended up putting 3 on top of each other. And I put one behind Mary, one behind Joseph, and then I do put one at the top right underneath the star. And because I wanted it to have a little bit of a 3D effect. So then I just put it right on in the middle of that. Then I took this bush I got from Family Dollar the other day. I absolutely love the color of this. It's kind of a softer green. And I took some picks off, and I'm trying just to decide where I want to lay them. So I'm just going to hot glue those 2 right there in the middle of the picture. And then I'm going to hot glue that pine cone right in the middle of it as well. If you are new here, I just want to say welcome. If you are really liking what you see today, hit that subscribe button and become part of our family. I'd love to have you join, and then hit the notification bell so that way YouTube will notify you when I upload a video, which should be every Wednesday, except for when I am participating in challenges. Depending on how many challenges I have that week will depend on whether or not I upload on Wednesday or not. So for this week, I will not be uploading tomorrow because of this challenge, and I have one on Friday as well. So then I took this ribbon that I got at Dollar Tree, and I made a little bow, and I just added that to the greenery on the bottom, and I think it came out looking really, really sweet. You have to let me know what you think about it in the description box below. No, in the comment box below. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I printed this picture off of, I think it was Graphic Fairy, and I have this frame that I got from Dollar Tree. Some of these faux branches and pine cones from Walmart, the garland clips, and that clipped poinsettia from Dollar Tree. So I start off, of course, by taking off all those pictures, the twine, the clips. I had to remove the back in order to get all the twine off. And then once I get this all off and get the twine cut and removed, I took my sanding block that I got from Dollar Tree, and I am just sanding this. Now, this isn't real wood. This is like a shiny kind of finish on top. So I was sanding it so that it would the paint would adhere better, but I really liked it was given a distressed look around the edges. So I decided to go ahead and play with the look it was giving and do some more distressing with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Cashew. Then I just needed to trim the picture up a little bit. It was a little too wide, but of course it wasn't long enough for the frame. And this was the only frame that I had to fit that picture. So I'm going to fix that. So once I got that picture into the frame, I took some of these garland clips from Dollar Tree. I took 2 and wrapped them together. And then I'm just going to hot glue them right there on the bottom where the picture doesn't fit. And then you will never know that it didn't fit unless you watch this video. So then after I had that on, I took the clip, that poinsettia, and I wanted to put it on the bottom, but it was covering up the words. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I put it here on the corner. So this is where I took some of those pine cones, and I'm just going to hot glue them right there on the corner. And then after I get them hot glued on the corner, I am going to pull out the back of that clip from that poinsettia. And then I'm just going to hot glue that onto the frame there. I figured then that way it's not covering the words. Then after that, I just took some of the twine that came off of that frame, and I tied knots on both ends, and I just hot glued them to the back. And this DIY is done. And I absolutely love this picture. I think it was so cute, and it says joyous Christmas to you, which, you know, most time we say Merry Christmas. So I thought this was just so cool and so out of the ordinary. Make sure you check that out. So here's DIY number 2. So for this DIY, I just had a whole bunch of lace ribbon that I had bought from Walmart and Hobby Lobby. And I wasn't sure how much I was going to use or what I needed, so I just grabbed the stuff that I really liked and wanted to have on hand. Then I had some glittery buttons that I bought from Hobby Lobby, and then I printed out the sheet music to Oh Christmas Tree. And this picture frame I actually got at a thrift store earlier this year, and I had spray painted it white, but it's been sitting in my stash waiting for me to use it, and I knew I wanted to use it at Christmas time, so I thought this would be the perfect time. So I of course took the mirror out at the back. I'm cutting one of those songs lyrics pages, whatever you want to call it, and I'm just going to put some double-sided tape on the back of the part that I cut, and I'm just going to add that because it wasn't as long as that picture frame. And I know that we're going to cover that seam up with the lace, so I wasn't worried about that. So I just have that all taped, and then I am just adding that to the mirror side of the frame. I didn't hot glue it or anything. That way, if I want to reuse that frame, I can. So then I took my cashew chalk paint in Waverly brand, and I am just doing some dry brushing, kind of heavy duty dry brushing, because I wanted to have a mixture of the white and the cream color, because my lace, I have some cream colored lace and white lace. So I was just kind of mixing both those colors. I thought it gave it more of a vintage look, and that's what I was going for. So I'm just cutting little strips, and I'm doing an angle with the bottom part being a little longer, and each strip layer gets a little shorter or smaller. Sorry. So that way it looks more like a Christmas tree. And so I just go and I just cut out the ribbon as I liked. And then once I had it laid out, I just went with my hot glue and just started gluing them down. And of course, if you recreate this, you want to make sure you have some kind of finger protector or spatula or something, because, you know, lace has holes, and that glue does seep through. So once I had it all hot glued, I took one of those little buttons and I put some hot glue and I just put it right at the top. And what I loved about the buttons is it was in the shape of a star. Then I had like this beaded lace. It looks like something you'd put on like a wedding dress. And it wasn't very much. I was so shocked. But anyways, I am just going to hot glue this all along the edge of the tree. And I just think this really gave it a lot more definition. And so once I went all the way around, I took some of this beaded garland that I had and just kind of folded it in half and put some hot glue down and put it there to be the trunk of the tree. And then I added that other little button right on the top there. And I absolutely love this. This just looks to me so vintage, so, I don't know, old time. I don't know. And I love it. And that music is Oh Christmas Tree, which I thought was fitting for a Christmas tree. So you have to let me know what you think of this in the comment box below. But I love it. Here's the next DIY. Now I had, first of all, I took 4 of these rectangle wood pieces. I don't remember where I got those. I got these little gingerbread men off of Amazon. I have a couple skewer sticks from Dollar Tree. I actually end up using 3 of those. Some half beads from Amazon, my apple barrel nutmeg brown paint, and some puffy paint in white, and some baker's twine. So I start off by cutting these down to 4 inches. And then and you can see I'm using my miter shears to cut it down, but you can use scissors or a box cutter. This stuff's really thin, so it cuts pretty easily. And once I got that done, then I am marking the middle of that piece, and then I'm going to use my square ruler to form an angle, and the angle was at about 1 1/16 of an inch. So you could probably just do 1 inch if you wanted, but that's the angle that I did. And then I just mark it and then cut them. And I do 2 of the houses this way with that kind of angle. And then I did 2 more houses that have a little, not as steep of an angle. So then I'm just measuring out the skewer sticks to match the top there, cutting them down, and then I'm using some hot glue and just attaching those skewer sticks on the top. And then I'm just going to use my half beads, and I start in the middle and I hot glue 2 at top, and then I just work my way down, and I believe there's ends up being 4 on each side. Now the reason why I'm doing this garland is about a month ago on the Crafted by Corie mini series, I used a what we call thumbnail for my advertisements, and it had a garland, a gingerbread garland on the back, because my theme for that was gingerbread. And I had a viewer who absolutely loved that garland and asked if I could recreate it. And so I am doing this for her. So I'm recreating the garland that was on the actual backdrop that I had used. and I think it comes out looking really cute. And as you saw there, I took some of that dowel and cut it down and put it on the bottom of the house as well. And then I took my nutmeg paint and I go and I paint over all the houses and the gingerbread men. Then I took my crocodile and I am just punching a little hole on each side of the house, right under the eaves. And then I do the same with the gingerbread man, but I use a marker to put little holes or dots so I know where to put the hole. And then after that, I take a white paint marker and I am drawing in their face. And then I am going to draw some little dots on the arms and the legs. I have my laptop on the right side of me and I was just going by what they look like on the picture. So that's why I'm doing the decorations on them like I'm doing. I wanted to get this as close to that picture as I could so my viewer could see it and maybe even recreate it herself. So for the house with the slope or the roof that's not as sloped, I'm just drawing some windows here with my paint marker. And then I draw a third one there. So yeah, I pause because I'm looking at the picture. But I do end up going with the paint, the puffy paint, and I do little dots around it later. I don't show that, but I do add some little dots around it. So here I'm just making the little, I don't know what, oh, this is the other house. I am making the windows here just like it showed on the picture. And then this one had dots underneath one of the windows. So I'm just, I guess both of the windows. So I'm just kind of looking at the picture and just doing what it showed, making the door here with the marker. And the reason why I'm doing the marker and the puff paint is because on the picture, some of it didn't look as puffy. So that's why I'm using the marker for that spot, that part of it. Then I'm using my puff paint and I'm just outlining each of the gingerbread men with that puff paint. And then I'm going to use it to add some little like squiggly icing lines on the hands and the feet. If you're liking today's video, I would really hope you'd consider subscribing to my channel. I have got a goal of reaching 5,000 before the end of the year, so I would love your help if you could hit that subscribe button and become part of our family. I would just really love it and appreciate. And then make sure you give me that thumbs up and comment and let me know you're here. So for the second house, or the sloped house, I just went around with a puff paint and colored or put a whole bunch along those half beads. I made some, I don't know what they call those things above the windows. Then I made some little dots and I went all the way down both sides of the house with those little dots. And then here I'm doing the same thing, going around the door with those little dots. Tell you, my thumb was getting tired of pushing that paint, puff paint. Then I just put a big dab along the bottom of the house. And then this one, I am tracing the outline of the house. And then I'm making some, what would you call it? Swirly things on the house, like icing. And then it looked like it had snow dripping down. So I go ahead and make some like V's and paint them in with the puff paint to make it look like snow dripping down. And I wasn't being real careful. And then I went around with little dots all the way around. But I wasn't trying to be exact because the pictures weren't exact. I mean, they were, as far as, you know, real asymmetrical or whatever. They were just, you could tell it was just like somebody decorated them. And then once they were all done and dried, I let them dry for like 6 hours. I took my twine and I put some tape around the end so that it'd be easier to thread through the holes. And I just go from the left, I go down into the hole and then went through the back and came up the hole on the right side. And I did that with each one of them. And I think I had them about 2 inches apart. And then I just tied knots on the very end, and there it is. And I'm going to hang this up in my kitchen and probably above my window. And I think it is so cute. So thank you to my subscriber who asked me to make these. These are adorable. I just love them. You'll have to let me know what you think about them as well. DIY number 1. So for this project, I started out with using that jar from Dollar Tree, the Epsom salt from Dollar Tree, and some glitter that came from Walmart last year at Christmas time. And I started off by pouring some Epsom salt and some glitter into that bowl. And I'm just kind of mixing it all around. And I'm sorry I didn't show how much. I don't really know how much. I just kind of put what I felt like I wanted to use in that bowl. And then I took some Mod Podge, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to brush a good layer of Mod Podge all around this jar. Now you'll see here, I believe in a few minutes, that I don't think I put enough Mod Podge on, or it was just drying too quickly, one or the other, because I end up having to kind of go around and add more. Maybe I didn't show this, but I did end up having to kind of wipe some of this off. Yeah, see there, I was touching it and it wasn't very sticky, so I was trying to wipe some of it off, and then I just grabbed some more Mod Podge and I put a thicker layer of that. So you want to have a really good coat. You don't want it so thick that it's dripping, but you do want to have a really good coat of Mod Podge on your jar. Now I've seen other people do this, and they have seen some use Mod Podge and some use tacky glue. So you could try that as well. Then I just go in and I just sprinkle that Epsom salt and the glitter all over the jar until it's covered well. And then I left it for about 24 hours. And once it was all dry, it looks so pretty. It looks sunny and crystally. Not sunny, snowy. It's sunny out right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so back to the project. So I took some jute twine and I'm just wrapping around. I think I wrapped it around probably 3 or 4 times. You just do it as much as you want, as much as you feel it needs, or depends on, what you want it to look like. And then I just trimmed it off, and I just going to tie a little bow there. And of course, I need something more than that. So I took this berry garland that I got from Hobby Lobby last year. And the berries are kind of spaced apart a little too far. So I took a length and folded it in half so that it's really like 2 layers. And then I wrapped that around that jar. And then I'm just going to take the 2 ends and wrap them together. And here I've got that in the back. And then I realized, you know what, this would look better if that wrapped end was in the front. So I turned it around and I'm wrapping it in the front. That way some of those berries from it can hang down below the bow that I made with that jute twine. And I did not hot glue the twine. You can hot glue it down if you want, because it did kind of try to move up on me often. So I might even go back later and put a little dab of hot glue down. And then once I was done with that, I grabbed some what do you call it? Not floral, but just some greenery. There we go. And added it to that, and that was it. And I think it came out looking super adorable. And it's very easy, and I put a little candle inside. You can kind of see it there, and it is just beautiful, and I can't wait to use it.